Good afternoon. I am Bob Williams, the co-founder and policy director of Communication First, and a principal on this project. Most of you know of me, but because it significantly biases what I am going to say, I make the following disclosure. I am a 60-something-year-old, straight white man, with fairly significant cerebral palsy, who has simultaneously used multiple means of AAC, including mouth words, to make myself known throughout my life. I have and continue to experience ableism and speechism daily as others here do, but have always escaped the most hideous forms and consequences of it. This was especially true when I grew up from the late 50s through to the 70s. When hundreds of thousands and more baby boomers, like me, were institutionalized by their parents, told by doctors and others to commit their sons and daughters, walk out, and never look back. They were denied an education, silenced, and worse. This happened then, and despite the phenomenal strides we make in law, technology, and societally, these things are appallingly still the norm, not the exception. For me and others using AAC, disrupting and ending that vicious cycle is our life vocation. And peer support, broadly conceived, offers unmatched liberating tools and strategies for doing just that. It is not just touchy-feely. It is just not another 12-step program, as transformational as they can be. For folks like us, it can and must be justice-making. These are the prejudices, as well as the lived and professional experiences, that gnaw at me, driving all of what I believe, say, and do. This is particularly true concerning peer support. Patrick suggested I shared my thoughts on why, and to some extent, how people with significant disabilities, including those who need AAC, especially those who are denied it, must have peer support in order to thrive. And I want to do this through a series of vignettes and snapshots of my life. Preparing these remarks, I realized that one of the first and most formative chance encounters I had with peer support occurred when I was 6 or 7, and spent weekdays living, receiving therapy, and going to school, at what we called the Crippled Kids Hospital. Peer support manifested itself in the jokes and pranks all of us played on a certain nurse who pricked and poked our rear ends, who we aptly dubbed lead bottom. It manifested itself in the joy we shared in being as rebellious, typical, and devilish we could be as kids. We believed in ourselves and each other. We grew together. At about the same time, I noticed a kid on the ward riding his tricycle everywhere he went and having great fun creating havoc down the corridors. Even though his name was David Ryder, he never actually taught me how to ride. But he certainly revealed why I should. Within an instance of seeing him, I knew I wanted to do what he was doing. Seeing is believing. For decades, I rode a series of trikes. Growing up, I rode them all over town. When I went to GWU in DC, I rode it throughout campus, including inside most of its buildings. When I interned in the Senate, in the 80s, I rode up to the Hill and throughout the labyrinth of the Capitol complex. I even rode it on the DC subway back then. Why am I telling you any of this? Well, I do not have any peer-reviewed research to validate it. But for me, this illustrates what a difference this one chance encounter with David Ryder and our friendship has and continues to make. It illustrates the power of suggestion and being open to learning what is possible together. It has afforded me enormous freedom, dignity, and reach. I can literally tell you the same story about why I first typed, was recognized as knowing how to read and write, became mainstream, got active in disability civil rights as a teenager, and practically everything I have done and will do in life. I have been privileged to have my family and other people without disabilities in my corner throughout my life and career. This said, those with significant disabilities, especially those using AAC and those denied it, are my one true compass. My source of power, knowledge, identity, community, and pride. Peer support is an umbrella term that can mean anything, and thus be meaningless and contrived. I believe the personal and collective agency it can and must create lies in what I have just struggled to describe.